Today I am going to discuss with you the Kyle Tucker trade and react to David Kaplan's latest recap podcast he did with Gordon Wittenmeyer on the trade. Let's get started.
It's time to effing win. Let's go.
Okay, this right here is a point of contention with me. Cap, it's always time to win. Every single year we should be trying to win the World Series, no matter how unrealistic it may seem. Old man Steinbrenner used to say every year the Yankees did not win the World Series was a failed season, and I wish every team would operate that way. But at the very least, the large market teams should be able to.
Get involved. Assuming he has the kind of season we think he can have and he stays healthy. Get involved in that, because this is a guy that you build around, you build a championship lineup around. And to your initial point on this, it's damn well time. They look like they're going all in.
Yes.
As I said in my last video, I love Kyle Tucker and want him on the Cubs, so please, let Ricketts finally get his head out of his ass and sign Tucker long term. You do not let players like this leave.
The same day, man. Look what happened the same day. The 90-win, two-time defending division champ Brewers just traded away, arguably, certainly one of the best closers in the game in Devin Williams. And this is after losing Willy Adames to a $182 million free agent contract, their big hitting shortstop. In all likelihood, I give the Brewers a lot of credit. They know what they're doing. They might not go away, but they're not the team they were 5 weeks ago. And they're not the team they were yesterday. So the Cubs just took a massive step forward.
Okay, so right here, Gordon is talking about the Brewers not being as good as before, so basically he's implying that the division is ripe for the taking. For the life of me, I don't know why these guys think so small. There is no prize for winning the division. It's completely irrelevant. The World Series is the only goal, as I'm always saying. Stop talking about the division.
Okay, so the rumor is the Cubs are kicking the tires on Jesus Luzardo of the Miami Marlins. He's a really good pitcher, really good. But then you would have, I believe he's a lefty. You would have Imanaga, lefty. Justin Steele, lefty. Like, you're pretty lefty dominant. Jordan Wicks is a lefty. So I think I'd rather have a right-handed power pitcher, but we'll see what they do.
Luzardo is a good pitcher with good stuff, but he has a very troubling injury history and is coming off of an injury now. As I've been saying over and over, the Cubs need a true ace, not more 3s, 4s, and 5s. Now, Sandy Alcantara, who Kaplan talks about later on, is also coming off Tommy John surgery, but he was an ace before he got hurt. He's only 29 years old. Let's compare the numbers of Luzardo and Alcantara. First up in Luzardo's troubling injury history, we can see that he tore his UCL back in 2016. Now, this in and of itself is not that big of a deal, since pitchers can regularly come back from Tommy John surgery just fine nowadays. But that's just the first injury that he's had that we know about. Second, we can see here, back in 2022, he was also placed on the injured list with a left forearm strain, and then was transferred to the 60-day injured list in June. And finally, this past season, we see that he had a lumbar stress reaction that he suffered back in June. This is the back problem that has caused him to miss the rest of the 2024 season. Now, as we can see here, Alcantara is also coming off of an injury. He also had Tommy John surgery, and he missed all of 2024. But like I said before, that in and of itself is not really a problem, because guys regularly come back from Tommy John surgery just fine. That seems to be the only serious injury that he has suffered throughout his career. So I would be more trusting of him to come back from an injury and not get hurt again over Luzardo. Comparing the numbers of the two pitchers, we can see that Alcantara has been the much better of the two, posting consecutive seasons of ace-like numbers in 2021 and 2022. This isn't to say that Luzardo is bad, but if the Cubs have a shot at making a trade with the Marlins for a starter, I would much rather it be Alcantara over Luzardo, because he can fulfill that true ace role the Cubs desperately need.
One of the things that Kyle Tucker brings, not just the power, not just the left-handed bat, his high OPS and the Gold Glove, but this guy is he puts the ball in play. One of the big reasons for success in the postseason with those Astros teams in recent years is because they were one of the teams that put the ball in play more than other teams. That is an undervalued commodity in the game right now, and it's relatively rare still. He had, in his limited play last year, Tucker had 2 more walks than he had strikeouts. This is the kind of player he is. This is kind of an at-bat he gives you. And he hits the ball to all fields, which will play at Wrigley, even when it's not a hitter's ballpark. The other guy you have who's elite at that is Nico Hoerner. He's top 4 or 5 some years at putting the ball in play, contact. You need that to win playoff games. You need that to situationally hit. It's the teams that don't have much of that wind up with a shit ton of strikeouts in the postseason against good pitching, and they get nullified. You need that. Nico Hoerner is valuable. And now that you've just lengthened your lineup with a legitimate big middle-of-the-order hitter, Nico arguably becomes even more valuable to this lineup. I don't think trading him is an answer for anything.
I 100% agree with Gordon on this point. Putting the ball in play does seem to be really undervalued in today's game. Everyone seems to care only about power, but the power guys tend to strike out a lot, and in the playoffs, as Aaron Judge demonstrated, they can totally disappear. I want more guys that put the ball in play, like Tucker and Nico Hoerner. Like I said in my last video, I would take Tucker on my team over Judge 10 times out of 10. So I agree with Gordon on this point, but he has in the past contradicted himself on this point when he's called for the Cubs to go after Anthony Santander, who is just a glorified Patrick Wisdom, a strikeout machine that does not hit very well or put the ball in play too often.
And they're talking about Kyle Finnegan, who was let go by the Nationals. They didn't want to pay him. If you add him and you're able to trade Bellinger and move some of that money, look out. It's a good time to be a Cubs fan.
I like David Kaplan, but sometimes the players he gets excited about just baffles me. Kyle Finnegan, who was the closer for the Nationals, is a good relief pitcher, but he's not great, and certainly not closer material in my mind. There's a reason the Nationals just let him walk. Look at his numbers. Not very awe-inspiring. The Cubs definitely need some bullpen help, and a bona fide closer. Finnegan is not the guy. Jeff Hoffman would be a good choice, but he's going to be expensive, so we know the Cubs are not going to go after him.